Okay, so I will first create a folder here. Let's say Foothills Construction. Okay, and I will download all the files inside that folder. So I'll say save link as here. Okay, so I'll right click on it, save link as another table, save link as jobs here, save link as project. Okay, so if I go to my folder here, I should have these 4 files. Okay, now let's open these 4 files and see what we have there. So if you open this project file, you see that's a text data, right? And it tells us that there are 4 projects, right? So there are 4 projects. It's always good to view this data before you start working on them. Okay, and then I'm open the jobs table here, right? So you see that you have 4 different types of jobs, right? You have structure, plumbing, electrical, heating and ventilation, and you have been given the charge per hour for each type of job. Okay, that's the second table we have. Then we have employee table. So that's an Excel file here, right? So we have how to grab this thing here. Okay. So we have almost 18 employees, right? And then we have assigned table, and that's where you're going to see a lot of data here. Right, so what do you see here? Anything interesting that you note here? Like for example, uh, here in the employee table you see job code again, right? See that job code again, and the job code is coming from the job file, right? For example, how would I know that John Newman is electrical or electrician? By looking at that job code, right? So database, what database is going to do is going to look for that job code and go to the jobs file, pull up the plumbing and the charge per hour. Does it make sense to you? Right. So what is this job code in this file? If you see, it uniquely identifies each record, right? Each job has a unique job code, right? That is called a primary key. So I'm going to write down here, it is called a primary key. Each table in a database must have a primary key. Okay, there cannot be a table without the primary key. Okay, so whenever you create a table in MS Access, again you must define a primary key that will uniquely identify each record. Okay. So primary key here is job code. What's the primary key here in project table? Project number, right? Are you guys with me? What's the primary key in employee table here? In the employee table, employee number, right? That's a primary key. It uniquely identifies each employee. It's very much like your SSN number, right? What's the primary key here in the assigned table? Assigned number, because that uniquely identifies each assignment in the table. Okay, now another interesting question that might come to your mind is, what do you call this field here? Job code, because job code is a primary key of another table, right? So whenever you have additional field in another table that is a primary key of another table, that field is called foreign keys. Okay, so that's how you create the relationship between the table.
Be writing these down because I don't see any in a book.
You don't need to write it down. You don't need this for the SANS project. Okay.
Primary key.
You need to I'm recording it. You know, you have to read it out. I don't have any textbook assigned to it.
Okay, so that's the
But
only reference we have.
yes, but as I said, this is not the full-fledged course in database. Okay, but obviously, you know, it's there. Do the Google search. You know, you don't need more than this for completing those two SAMS projects.
He says the foreign key
When you use a primary key of one table in another table. So likewise, like job code is a primary key of one table that's appearing in another table. So here it's a foreign key that's linking to this table. For example, in the assigned table, do you see any foreign keys? There could be more than one foreign key as well. How would you know for a particular assignment? Give me the, okay, let me ask you this question. For assignment number 1003, give me the name of the employee and the name of the project. For assignment number 1003. John Newman. And what's the project he's working on? What's the name of the project he's working on? No, a project. So you see the project number 15, right? So he's working on Evergreen. So this project number is a foreign key to the project number field here in project table, right? Likewise, employee number is a foreign key to the field called employee number in the employee table, right? Entire database design is based on just primary key and foreign key relationship. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay, so with this we'll create these 4 tables and then we'll create the relationship between them. Okay, so I will close this one out here. Okay, so I can create the database right here, but let's do it proper way here. I'll say, I can say here Microsoft Office 2013 here, and then we have MS Access 2013, right? So I will click on that one. Okay, so you'll get this screen here. Okay, so I would click on the blank desktop database. That's what I intend to create right now. Okay, so I will click on this one and do not just hit create here. Give it a proper name and the destination where you want to store this database. Okay, so this is I would say this is my Foothill Constructions, right? Construction. Okay, so I'll go to the folder on the desktop and save it there. Okay, so again, if you cannot catch up with me, I'm recording this thing, you know, you can go back home and watch the video again and again, and then I will click on create here. Okay, so I just created a blank database inside my folder, so I can go to the desktop here, right? And you see a file there, Foothills Construction database file that we are working on right now. Okay, so we already have the data here, so we want to import that. So here by default it will give you blank template for the table, which I don't want to use because I already have the data. So I will close this one out here and I will go to the external data because my data is external to the database right now and I want to import that data. So I would say go to the import and link section here, and I would say, okay, import Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Yes. This is for both 7 and 8, because 7 and 8 they are based on, I don't know which section is used where, but this database design is for those two projects, because 7 and 8 both are database projects.
My tables are different. My tools are different.
You have 2013.
They're due today, right?
No, they are due next Monday.
I mean, some says
No, database projects are due next week. So what's due this week? This week is gonna end Monday, right? So database project 7 and 8. Today, what is due is the dashboard prototype. Okay.
My toolbar is different. I don't see if you just export it here. Oh, okay. You're on that.
So I will click on Excel because I'm importing data from the Excel spreadsheet here. And then I will go to that folder where I have those files. So go to desktop here, Foothill Constructions, right? I see 2 Excel files. So let's do one by one. So let's do employee first. It doesn't matter which order you do it, okay? So I will click on employee here, say okay here. I want to import the source data into a new table in the current database, okay? And I will say okay here, right? So it will start reading the data. So right now it's reading the Excel file and giving me this screen here. So we see this data here. That's the data I want. Okay, I will go to the next one here, next. And here I would say first row contains the column headings. So you see that. So this becomes the field names, okay, in my new table. Okay, and I'll go to the next here. I don't like manipulating anything here. I just want to leave everything as else default. Okay, so once I get the table in my database, there I can go to the design view and change the properties if I want. Okay, so I will leave it everything as default here. Okay, I will not create any primary key here. Okay, we'll do it in the database. Okay, so I will say no primary key needed right now. Click on the next. I want to import it to the employee table. Then you click on finish. Okay, if you close here, you should see employee table, right? Right. So if you double click on this employee table, you will open it up and you'll see all the data there that you just imported into MS Access. Now this is a part of MS Access database. You have created a table inside the database. Okay, this table does not have any primary key, but as I said, each table must have a primary key. So what we will do is we'll go to the design view and change the properties. So go to the home and you see that here, drop this list down and select the design view. Okay, so this will open the table into the design view where I can change the properties for those fields, right? So I will go here. Right now here you can change whatever you want. For example, employee number, we can say if you want it to be a number, we can say it's a number. Okay, and I'm gonna say this is the primary key, so you can see the key there. Right, so basically what I'm saying here is this employee number is a number and is also a primary key that will uniquely identify each record in the employee table.
I missed the primary key part. How do you say it?
Just click on this key here. Okay, it is going to put the key there. Okay, and then other things you can change it if you want. For example, employee last name, the field size is 255 characters. So 255 characters is too big a size, and you don't want to waste the space. So what we're gonna do is, maybe once you look at your data, you see that we might not go over 25. So I'll just restrict it to 25 characters. Okay, that's how you optimize the performance of the database, right? So likewise, I will go here, say I don't need more than 25 characters here. The job code will make it number here. Okay, are you guys with me?
You did that for which ones?
Job code, job code is numeric, right? So let's say, yeah, so it's always good to have primary key as number. Okay, so job code, I will say I don't need long integer. Integer will do. Long integer is gonna again occupy a lot of space. Okay, Jeff, you had any question?
So you have to change it. You just change it at the top to number.
Yes.
See the screen, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So you leave long integer at the bottom. where it says
Here also
size.
we should do the integer. Okay. The whole idea here is review the properties and optimize the design wherever possible. Okay, do you have to do it? No, you can get away without doing it. Okay, but if the database is very big, like you're talking about very big table where you have millions of records, these things matter a lot. Okay, so from that point of view, but for our purposes, even if you don't do those things, you can still get away with it. Okay,
But it won't affect the size of the database unless someone puts a lot of data into that actual field.
Jeff, can you say that again?
It's not going to make the database larger unless someone populates the field with a large amount of data. So for example, under the data type where you have number,
Yes.
you're restricting it to integer, but
Yes.
before it was long integer. But if they put the same number of characters in there, whether you have it set to integer or long integer is not going to affect the size of the database. Rather, the data they actually enter will affect the size.
The size of the database depends on the number of records that you have in the table. So right now you have how many employees you have? 18 or 18 employees, right? What if you have 18 million employees? That will affect the database size. Each field data type also occupies the memory space. Okay, so if you are unnecessarily providing a double space where you don't need it, multiply it times those million records, and it's going to grow your database exponentially over the period of time. Okay, so that's why this design is kind of important here.
But to his question, if you limit the field to 25 characters, can they type more than
No.
25?
That's the reason we limit it here. Okay, and why would you limit it to 25? 25 is not a magic number. What you have to do is you have to look at your data and come up with that number.
But they're limited to whatever you said.
Yes.
As much as they can.
Yes, they cannot put it more than that.
And its space counts towards
Yes.
that character count.
Yes, space also counts towards that character. Okay, and we'll see that here. For example, let's say first name is we restricted to, let's do that. Let's say I want to restrict it to 5 characters. I don't want to I don't want to do that 25. I want to see how much data we have right now. Okay, so let me save this one. Okay, some data may be lost. Why it's saying it? Because we are changing the data type for some fields from text to number, so it will create that kind of error message here.
What did you do to get that?
Save it.
Oh, say.
Yeah, just click on it, save icon. Okay, and I will open this one in the view, data sheet view here. So if you open this one here, okay, try to enter, let's say we don't have more than 10 characters right here. Let's say I want to insert a new employee. To practice it, maybe I'll lower it down to, let's say I want to go to the design view here, employee first name, I will restrict it to 10 characters so that I can show you what happens if you put in more than 10. Okay. Okay, do we have more than that? Hold on. I don't think we have more than 12, so I'll just go ahead and save this one. Okay, now here let's say I want to enter new employee, right? 119. I don't care about the last name, but I want to show you how many characters we can insert. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 11, 12, and after that it's not taking any numbers. I can not type more than that. You see that? So it basically restrict to that number. Okay, so I'm just gonna go here and delete this one. Okay. Okay, so we are done with the employee table here. Okay, remember employee number, you have to remember the data type, because this data type we will use while creating the relationship. Okay, and you cannot create the relationship between a numeric field and a text field. Okay, you have to create a relationship between two fields that has the same data type. That's why you have to keep these data types in mind, because job code here is a foreign key, right? It's mapping to a primary key in the job table. Okay, so I need to make sure that the job field, the job code field in the job table will also be a numeric. Okay, otherwise you cannot create the relationship here. So I will close this one here. I will go to the external data. Let's get other tables. For example, this time I want to get text file. So I'll, you see that text file icon there. So I will click on that one here. I will go to the browse here, right? And I will click on the job file, okay, which is the text data here, right? And I want to import the source data into a new table. Let's say okay here. Okay, so this is basically telling you how your data is stored in the text file. Okay, so our data is kind of comma delimited. So comma is the one that's separating those fields. Are you guys with me? Right? So I will go to the next here. I will say that the first row contains the field name, so that they becomes a field in my table. Okay, and texts are being qualified by double quotes, so that's there. So this is what we're gonna get, right? So it's give us a nice preview here. Click on next here. I don't want to change any data type here per se, so I will just leave it default. I will not choose any primary key. Okay, I will go to the next one here, and I will import that data to a new table called job. Okay, I'll finish this one. Say okay here, and you have a job table, right? Double click on the job table and you have 4 different job types. So again, I need to change the properties and I need to identify the primary key. So what I'm going to do is I will go to the home design view here, right? I will change this to a number because I identify it as a number in the employee table. Okay, and I would say this is an integer. Okay, job description I will just leave it like that, but feel free to practice it when I at home, changing different field types, whatever you feel like. And job code I would like to indicate that it's a primary key, right? So we have second table here, right? So I will save this one. Okay, okay, so that's okay. So we have this job table done here. Okay, I'll close it again. Let's get another data, for example external data. Let's say I want to get another text file for the project. So I will click on the text file. I will go to my folder on the desktop and select the project file. Okay, and say okay here. We'll get the preview of our data. It's comma delimited. Click on next here. Say the first row contains the field name, right? And this is the data we're gonna get here. Click next here. Don't want to change anything here. Next here. I don't want to have any primary key here. Next here, I want to import the data to a new table called project. Finish this one. So we have the project table as well, right? Let's go ahead and import another Excel file, which is assign table. So I will click on Excel table here, browse, assign, right? Say OK here. So this is the data that we are reading from that Excel file here. First row contains the column heading. Click next here. I don't want to change any data type here, so I will leave it as default again. I don't want to have any primary key here, so I will just indicate no here. And I want to import that to a new table called assign, right? Finish this one. Close this one. And the project table, we did not indicate the primary key yet, right? Because I just imported the data. So I will double click on it. I will go to the home design here. I will say project number is a number data type with short integer, right? Project number is the primary key here. So these are the changes that you can do here. I will save this one, say yes here. I'll close this one here. Similarly, I'll do it for assign, right? Okay, so I'll go to the design view here, say assign number is a number. It's not double, it's integer, and it's a primary key, right?
So each file should have a primary.
Yes, each table must have a primary key.
Now, I made a mistake when I put the jobs in.
Yes,
How do you delete that? I want to do it over.
you select it and delete it, or right click on it and delete it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so you had to close the table, make sure the table is not open, because if the table is open, it won't let you do anything. Mhm. Is it working?
That's all right, keep going.
Okay. Let me see quickly, maybe I can fix it quickly. I want to delete this one, right?
Good job.
So first of all, I will just close everything. Delete this one, right? This one,
We have to close everything. not just-
yeah. I guess that particular table you have to close.
Okay.
The table that you're trying to delete, not every table.
Okay.
Okay. So once you have the data in your tables here, the next step is to create the relationship between them. Okay. So for that, we go to the database tools here, go to the relationship here. Okay. So again, go to the database tools and click on the relationship. Okay. And you add all these 4 tables. You can just double click on them, or you can click on the add button. Okay, so you have these 4 tables here, so I'm gonna just rearrange them. For example, I know that there is a relationship between project and assign and employee and job. Okay, and then I will create the relationship. How you create the relationship? You drag one field from one table onto the same field in another table. For example, I'm dragging job code from employee table onto the job code in job table. Are you guys with me? And you do that, you leave the cursor there, it's going to open up edit relationship window here. Okay, so I will say here, I want to enforce referential integrity. Now, what is referential integrity? Which means that I cannot use any job code in employee table if that job code is not present in the job table. and that makes sense, right? Otherwise you'll create invalid data, right? That's why it's important to enforce referential integrity here. Okay, so I'll click on create here. So you'll see it's one-to-many relationship. Okay, the one side is also known as a parent table. The many side is also known as a child table. Are you guys with me? Right. So likewise, I will create the relationship between employee and assigned table here. So I will drag the employee number from the employee table onto the employee number in the assigned table. Okay, and I will enforce referential integrity. Looks like we did not change the data type for one particular field here. So for example, it's saying that relationship must be on the same number of fields with the same data type. Okay, so likewise, what I should be doing right now, I will go back and check the data type for employee number in both the tables and make sure that it's same. So I'm going to say cancel here. I will close this window here. Okay, say yes here. I will go to the employee table, click on design view. That's a number here, right? So this one looks okay to me. Now I will go to the assign table, go to the design view here, and see employee number is a short text. So it's not creating the relationship between the text and number, and that makes sense. So I will go ahead and change this one to a number, and I will mention that as an integer. Are you guys with me? And I will save this one, say yes here. I will close this one. I will go to the database tools again, relationship here, and now I will try to create the relationship again by dragging employee number from employee table onto the employee number in the assigned table. Okay, click here, enforce referential integrity, and then create. Now it's creating the relationship. Okay, likewise, project number, I will drag from the project table onto the project number in the assigned table and enforce referential integrity. So again, it's giving the same problem. So it looks like I did not change the project number in the assigned table. So I'm going to cancel this one. I can leave this one open, hopefully, and see assigned table. I will go to the design view here. Project number should be a number here, right, with integer data type. And I will save this one, say yes here. Okay, now if I create the relationship, should allow me to create the relationship, right? So I created the relationship. So now we have all the 4 tables that we need, and we have.
But do they have to be side by side?
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter where they are.
No, it doesn't matter. You can rotate it the way you want it. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay. Right. So I'm gonna save this one, and I will close this window here. So guess what we did? We designed a database. We created a database. We created 4 tables. We defined the properties for each field in those 4 tables. We created the primary keys and the foreign keys. We created the relationship. Okay, so that's quite a task we did. The next thing we had to do is we had to create a report, very much like they ask us to do here, right? So we have to create the report like this here. So I will open this one here, very much like this. Okay, so let's see how or what we're going to do here. So if you study the report, you will see that we need the data from all the 4 tables. Make sense? So for example, project name is stored in project table. Are you guys with me? Right? Likewise, assigned date is stored in which table? Assigned table. Right? Employee first name and last name, they are stored in which table? Employee table. Job description is in jobs table, right? Assigned hours is in which table? If you remember, assigned table. Then there you go. And charge per hour is in jobs table. right? So basically, to create this report, we need the data from all the 4 tables. So what we would do is we'll create a query. Okay, what is a query? It's just a question that you pose to the database, and database is gonna find the answer for that. So we're gonna write a small query, and we're gonna tell the database that I need this much information from those 4 tables. Okay, and database will help us out. Let's do that. So how to create the query? Anything that you want to create, you should always go to the create table, create tab. Okay. Now remember, we imported the data from the Excel and the Notepad into the database. So we did not create any table as such inside the database. But sometime or some point of time, you would like to create the table right from the scratch. So this is the screen you should be going to in creating the table from the scratch. Okay. Now we want to create a query. So I will say, okay, create a query in design view. Okay, that gives me more flexibility than using the wizard. So I'm going to say I want to use the query design view here, right? And I would now tell the database that I need all those 4 tables. So I'm going to select all those 4 tables one by one and add to my query pane here or query window here. Okay. Now I will tell the database what information I need, and I need to keep that report in front of my eyes. Okay, so I need project name. So project name is going to be coming from project table, right? All I need to do is double click on it. So it's going to add project name. Okay, now assign date. So assign date is coming from assign table. So I will double click on that. Then we have employee last name, employee first name. Then we have job description that's coming from the jobs table. Okay, then we have assign hours coming from the assign table, right? And then we have job charge hour, that's hourly charge for each job type. Okay, so we are creating a query. We are telling the database that we need all this information from those 4 tables. Yes.
In order to do this, you have to have some kind of relationship established with that.
It's better to have the relationship, but it might work without the relationship as well. Yes. Okay. Because this is the query, but this is the backbone of any valid data that you're going to get in the query. Okay, if you do not enforce the relationship, that means your data could not be accurate. For example, you might have job code sitting in an employee table which is not there in the job table.
So you can still do this even though
Yes.
it's not a relationship.
Yes. Okay, so after you select all those fields, you have to run the query, and simplest way to run is click on run button right here. Okay, so if you run the query here, it's going to show you all that information that we need for our report. Now you could have created the report directly from the table, but it is always advised to create the query first and base the report and form of that query. Okay, it gives you additional flexibility to control things. Okay,
Can
so
we switch columns around from here if we decide?
yes, you can do whatever you want here,
Or do you
but
go
once
back to design?
you have to go back to the design here. Okay, whatever you want to do, you have to go back to the design. You should be able to grab this field and move around as well, like in Excel. I'm pretty sure, like yeah, it's working. See, I can move around here if you
Okay.
want. Yeah. So Microsoft has done pretty good job doing these things, and it's very interoperable. You know, if you know the Excel, you will see a lot of similarities here. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a query. So I'm going to say, you can give any name to it. I will just leave it default query 1. Okay. Now query is very much like a database object. Like table is a database object. Query is also a database object. Reports that you create or forms that you create, they're also database objects. Okay. So query is nothing, but it's just a quotient that you're storing into the database. Okay, it doesn't contain any data by itself. All this data that you see is not stored in the database. Query is simply, whenever you double click on the query is going to take those fields that you asked the database, go to those tables and grab those information and put it there. So it's real time. So whenever you're going to double click on the query, it will fetch the latest record and get you the updated information. Are you guys with me? Okay. So I created this query. I will close this window here. Okay. And then I'm ready to create my report. Okay. So to create the report, I will go to the create and you see the report section here. Simplest way to create the report is using report wizard. Okay. Now a lot of things are very simple here, but also you need to play with it. So I might not have all the answers for you. Okay. Most of the time you have to figure it out by trial and error. Okay. But you won't be needing even this much for your science project. Okay. So this is something additional you can think of. So let's say go to the report wizard here. My report is based on, as you see, you can create based on any tables as well. But if you already have a consolidated query, right? So I'm going to say, okay, I want to base my report of this query that I just created for the very purpose of the report. Okay. I want to have all the fields selected here. Okay. Go to the next here. Now it's telling you that how would you like to view your data. So obviously I want to group the data by a project. So you see that here in the report, right? If you go to the report here, you see that project name is only appearing once, and then you have all the related information for that project. Okay. This is happening because we are saying that we want to see the information by project name. Are you guys with me? Okay. So you go to the next here, you can add additional grouping labels. We are not adding any additional grouping labels here. Okay. So I will just leave it as default here. Go to the next here, and here let's say I want to sort the project by assigned date. Okay, in the ascending order, so that the is going to be sorted from lower, like first of month to the end of the month. Okay, so it's going to be ascending order. Very important tab is this one, summary option. If you forget summary option here, it's very difficult to add it on later on. Virtually you have to delete the entire report and create another one. Okay, it's not that easy to add on. At least I couldn't figure it out. So make sure that because we need the summaries, right? If you see the project here, they have a summary of assignment hours and charges in total, right? We need those totals. They are not stored in the database. They are called calculated field. So database, the report, when you're gonna run the report, it will sum this one up and show you this data in the real time. Okay. So I will say go to the summary option here. I want to sum assign hours and job charge per hour. Again, whatever sum or average you want to create, those can only be created on numerical fields. Okay. So make sure if you want something summary here and you don't see it here, maybe you might not have indicated the numeric data type. Okay. So you need to go back and check that one. And other thing I'm going to leave it as default here. Say okay here. Go to the next one here. This is fine. I would rather have a landscape so that I can get a bigger area, right? And I want to deselect this field. Adjust the field width so that all fields fit on a single page. I tried that option, but sometimes it hides the fields because it could not fit on one page. Okay, and it becomes very difficult to find those hidden fields. Okay, so what I'm telling right now is, okay, it doesn't matter, you span multiple pages, and then I will go to the design view and make changes there for my report. Okay, so I will see that here. Go to the next here, give a name to it, the project you want to give any name here. I'm gonna say RPT Foot Hills. Okay, details. I'm just gonna see name. I hate to give any spaces in my naming, whether I'm naming the field or naming the file. It's not good practice to do it, so I avoid it. And it's always good to give like 3-character prefix. RPT stands for report. It's good to give that prefix because later on when you have too many objects, it's easy to figure it out. Are you working on the report or the query? So likewise, when you're creating a query, you will prefix it with QRY. When you're creating a table, you will prefix it with TBL, kind of stuff. And that's industry practice. You don't have to have it. Okay. So I'm gonna say finish here. Now it's gonna create the report for me, right? And as you see, it's spanning multiple pages. Okay. So if you go to the next page here, spanning unnecessarily 3 pages, right?
Just the column.
We're gonna do that. Okay. So now the next thing we have to do is we have to massage the report so that it should look like the one in the case. Okay. So for that, what we're gonna do here is let's go to, I'm gonna close this preview here. Okay. And it's gonna open up in the design view. Design view is little tricky to work with. What I'm gonna do is I will go to the layout view. So layout view is kind of easy to manipulate. Okay, so I will go there and then we'll start moving the data here. Let's see. So this divider you see here is basically a page. Okay, so we want to put everything on the page. So what I'm going to do here is this field is already selected. I'm just going to use the left arrow to move around. You see that? So that becomes kind of easy to move.
Oh, to use the arrow keys to move.
Yes, left arrow key. Okay, so likewise this assign date, I can just move the left arrow key here. Okay, you can align it nicely there. You can click inside it. You can, if you press shift enter, it's gonna put that field in a couple of lines. Okay, so again the idea here is press the shift and then enter. It's gonna put that in 2 lines. Okay, so that's the thing here. And then this one also I can just double click on it, say this is project, then I'm gonna shift enter, put it on the next line, right? This one I can say that these two, so if I want to select multiple of like elements, I will press the shift here and click on these values here. Okay, then I will go to the home and I want them to be left aligned. Okay, so that they look nicer. Okay, and sometimes you have to do multiple times. Okay, so we are done with these fields. Let's do this one and this one. Right, I'm going to bring it here. Right, so that's employee last name. So I'm going to double click on it, say employee last name. Right, so likewise I'm going to say this one and this one. Let's move it here.
This is tedious.
It is tedious, but once you figure it out, it doesn't take that much time. Right, so this is employee first name. Right, let's try to bring this one to here. Right, so we have job description. Obviously it's taking too much space, so okay, click on this one, decrease the space there. Right, let me decrease the space here. I can select all these 4, so this one also. As I said, you have to just keep working on it.
Are you holding down something so you can select all those different columns?
Yeah, I'm just pressing the shift and selecting those, like very much thing that you do in Excel. and those trick works here as well. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. So at least now this is looking much better. All right. Now we have to massage some here. We have to somehow shorten the length. So I will go back to here, give it a nice name here. Let's say this is Foothills. That's the name of the report, right? Foothill construction project details. Okay. Now you can do those massaging there. I will delete this field. I don't need this thing here, right? That thing I'm going to delete this thing here. This thing I will shorten the length. It's too big here. Right, and then here what you want to show here. Okay, this has to be changed in the design view, so it's not letting me change here. Okay, so let's go to the design view now. This is the layout view I'm working on, right? I need to go to the design view to make last those subtle changes. So I'll go here. You can play with it here. You can increase the spaces between the elements. Okay, for example here definitely I need some space here. Project name is too big. The size here, shorten that one, and you'll see the difference when you're gonna do that. Okay, so here this one and this one, this one specifically I want to move up, right? So I will press shift, select both of them and move up. And here we don't want any of this thing, so I'm going to delete this thing. I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to say equals to, I'm just going to say summary of assignment hours and charges, right? So that should be it here. We don't want to do more than that. Hopefully it will do the trick here, right? This is looking better, right? Now all we have to do is change maybe some color, highlight this one. This is should be a currency here, right? So we can do that. So I'll go here. Hopefully we can do it here. This one, let's say I want to have it shorter here. Say border color, border style. Let's say I'm gonna say here I don't want any border style here. Transparent, right? Here also and here also I want border style to be transparent, right? And then I want to highlight this with a red color. That's very easy, like you do the font in Microsoft Word or Excel, make it bold red, right? This one should be a currency, so format type I can say this is a currency here, right? And I guess we are pretty much done here. Okay, this is what basically we wanted to create, right? And as I said, you have to just keep playing more with it. You had to do this thing as well. We can do it later on, but that's pretty much it. Okay.
I got it.
Yes,
You go, yeah, you got, 488 for your total, and on mine, I got 1,448.
you are right. I don't know how did I get that one. Did I change something there? You are right, this is not right. So I'll go here. Here maybe something wrong here. I need to see the formula they are using here. So I'm going to make it bigger here. So he's saying that is right now somehow Okay, that should have been in the, okay, I don't know why it didn't do mine, but I can fix this one. All I have to do is job charge per hour times, right? I'm gonna say add another field here called assign hours, right? Assign underscore hours. That's what it called here, right? Yes. And this should do the trick. Okay. So if I go back here, right? Yeah. So basically, I don't know why I didn't do it. Mine should have done it, but you need to make those changes to let you know. How did you get it? What did you do?
I'm just looking at the PDF file.
Oh, you're just looking at the PDF file, right? Right. By default, what it is doing is it's summing up this one. Okay. But that's not what we want. We want it to be assign hours times job charge per hour. That's the multiplication we have to do. And that's why I have to do that. Okay. If I go to the design view, I have to change that formula a little bit here, which is not difficult to comprehend. Right. Basically, it's summing the multiplication of those fields. Okay. So I guess this pretty much it. I'm gonna stop the recording here, and then I can help you out. How about that? Do you have any questions before I stop recording?
Well, if I wanted to put that in like a Microsoft Word document, I guess I can just I can go into Word, I can hit insert from so-and-so.
This report, I don't have any quick answer for that. I guess you would just print it out from here. So for example, if I go to the file, let's see, because that's going to be tricky as well. Say print preview. Okay. So now I don't know how to get rid of this extra pages. I need to get rid of it. That's gonna be a, it's like we need to find the way. Unnecessarily it's printing those 3 pages, but basically there should be a way. So you can do export the file to PDF. So it's letting you create the PDF file. So I don't know whether you can create the image, because I don't know, you cannot just copy and paste the report.
Right.
It's not going to work. So, but I need to find out how to get rid of those extra pages. So let's see that we can quickly fix that thing. Page setup. Now. That's going to be I need to figure that one out, but I don't know the answer right now. So I will stop the recording here, and I guess I just need to do some Google search to see how to get rid of those extra pages, and then we are pretty much set. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording here, okay? So that we don't have very large videos here.